Good evening, Miami Media School. My name is Ellis. I am a nursing student at South Florida College of Nursing, and I am assisted today with my fellow classmate right here.
Hello, my name is Michelle Ruiz.
Hello, Michelle. Now, Michelle, what is your agenda for the community?
So basically, since we are in the semester of community health, we want to educate the community about COVID-19. I'm so sorry. We made a survey, we have expanded our social media, and we went out and spoke to people in parts of Miami-Dade and Broward County. Doing this, we were actually able to see the main concerns of the vaccine, not only through the social media, but in person. And I tried my best to actually, give the best information based on the knowledge and the experience that I have learning in nursing school. We did make a survey, and on my survey, I got both negative and positive feedback, but a lot of positive feedback, really.
Nice, awesome. Well, my agenda for the community regarding the vaccination is making sure the population is aware of the different vaccine types, the purpose, how to get them, and encouraging them to get vaccinated as soon as possible. We are aware that not everyone has the most up to date news outlets, family encouragement, or simply no healthcare knowledge at all. However, many people are walking around searching for insight regarding their healthcare, and they are constantly being given answers that do not answer, explanations that do not explain, and conclusions that do not conclude. So, our purpose is to defeat those odds and make sure everyone's health is treated as top priority. Now, in terms of encounters of work in the community, how was that experience for you?
Um, Working in the community, we did do clinicals in the ER, so I saw a lot of patients very sick, and it was very hard to see that. As to the survey, when I went out, I did go around Miami-Dade and a very little bit of Broward County. Between the ages of 20 to 30 is the group that I talked to. A lot of them have actually gotten the vaccine or were trying, because it was a little bit more difficult about 3 weeks back. The concerns about the vaccine is that it came out too quickly. They didn't know what was in it. They were scared of the side effects. They weren't educated. Some people even said that they don't see the point of getting vaccines. But I did also get the good feedback of people. They were like, I love science. I love medicine. It is here to help us. And they were really rooting for the vaccine and really trying to get it for the ones that didn't get it yet. They loved it, and they were so ecstatic for the vaccine.
Nice. Well, my encounters of working in the community was beneficial and eye-opening. You get a sense of fulfillment knowing that the many opinions that people have regarding this pandemic, some people are receptive to the vaccine and some are not. And by giving our survey, I got to dive into some interesting conversations. I got the chance to speak to a married couple at my local pharmacy, in which one of them supported the vaccines while the other did not. The husband felt that the government initiated these vaccines to bait us as guinea pigs. While his wife was opposing, she said that she was aware of how important getting vaccinated was. She even gave an interesting analogy that I took note of, which I thought was kind of funny. She mentioned that vaccines are like seatbelts. If you get in an accident, they won't guarantee full protection, but I'm sure you would still prefer to wear them. I also got to speak to a close friend of mine, and he mentioned he's 50-50 on getting vaccinated. And he wasn't completely opposed to it, but he is still wary of it due to the allergic reactions that people have had after getting it. So, in summary, I experienced quite a lot of different opinions, but it was definitely a fulfilling experience. And it's always a pleasure to hear what our local communities have to say.
Yeah, it makes it easier for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, we need to look at religious aspects regarding the vaccine. Now, oftentimes, we as a people, we do not take into account of how important religious factors can influence those taking vaccines. We understand standard medical protocols such as staying 6 feet away, wearing masks, washing our hands, etc. But there are also other things that we as healthcare workers can incorporate for religious aspects. And things we can do can range from making limits to touching religious items such as prayer books, not recording people while they pray, and not recording people while they sing religious songs. And we have to keep in mind that there are so many people who consistently attend church physically and now have to resort to Zoom for the worship. So we want to be very encouraging in their times of distress and respect those who do not support vaccines due to religious purposes.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of your age group experience, how would you describe that?
Well, like I said earlier, it was both 50-50, but I'll kind of like mix that in with the survey that we did because the biggest concern at 92% was the safety and efficiency of the vaccines. As CDC does recommend getting the COVID-19 vaccine because of the dangerous virus that it brings. They are still learning about not only the vaccine, but the virus. So people are very concerned about that. But the COVID-19 vaccines are under the most intense safety monitoring in the U.S. history. It's very safe and very effective. I try to look at it like the flu vaccine. People go and get the flu vaccine because their insurance gives it to them for free, and they don't see it as anything. So I was comparing it to that because so many people get the vaccine for the flu and see nothing about it, and they don't compare because they try to compare it to the deaths instead of the people that have survived. And it's hard to compare it that way because that's a lot harder to see and it's a lot more sad. But with the survey, that was just the main thing, the safety. About, I think, 87% were planning on getting it or had it. And then with those 87%, 40% got Pfizer and 20% got Moderna. We didn't have anyone on, I think we had like 2% for the Johnson & Johnson on that one, but the Johnson & Johnson did come out and was a little bit different than the Pfizer and the Moderna. But 88% of the survey, as you were saying, with the allergic reactions, 88% did not get a severe reaction. Normal reactions are, you get a little bit of the flu-like symptoms. You get the soreness in your arm. Sometimes it's red. Sometimes it's a little bit tender to the touch. The headaches, the chills, a low-grade fever, that's all normal. And people are seeing that it's not because we are probably so accustomed to the flu vaccine that we don't notice that we actually get those as well. So they're just kind of like ignoring that, I feel. Or not ignoring. I feel like they're not as educated as we want. So that is my main concern of doing the survey because I can see that they don't know about the safety and the efficiency. They just hear it from social media and they only hear one side. They're not really hearing every single side. But CDC is always letting out new information. Their website says that they reload and update every day at 8 p.m. I believe it was. So it's changing every single day if there's changes. If there's no changes, it does stay the same. But it's very common that the changes happen and it's put right when it changes and right when we find out new information.
Absolutely. Well thought out.
Thank you.
Now, for me personally, the age group I encountered ranged from about 19 to 45. I enjoyed the diversity of the ages within the group that I spoke with. It was nice being able to talk about the state of vaccinations with those around my age and also being able to talk to older adults on their opinions as well. You find that many people, despite their age bracket, are very keen to how these vaccines can impact their lives. When I was talking to younger adults, they typically gave me feedback that the reason they took the vaccine is because they felt that they were peer pressured by friends and family, while the older adults told me that they were very cautious about their health and got vaccinated out of a sense of necessity. Needless to say, this by no means is the standard of how young and older adults will speak about the reasons for taking the vaccines, but it's always good to hear people's input about getting vaccinated despite their age. Now, regarding statistics, I have some statistics that I managed to do some research on regarding the vaccinations. According to the CDC, about 7.2 million people living in Florida have been fully vaccinated. In the United States, over 74 million people have been fully vaccinated. That's about 22.1% of the population. Now, granted, that leaves a good number of people to be vaccinated, but I'm confident that as time goes by, the number will eventually soon increase. Now, if I could ask you, do you have any vaccine sites of how or where to get them? Any recommendations at all?
Yes, actually, vaccines they're easier to get now because at first it was, only 65 and older and frontliners, but now it is easier to get. All you have to do is you Google Vaccine Finder, and the website is vaccinefinder.org. And that website, super easy to use. Anyone can use it. You get to the page and you click a big green button that says find COVID-19 vaccine.
Mm-hmm.
You click it and then you write your zip code and the radius that you're willing to travel. For me, I wrote my zip code and I put 25 miles. In the 25-mile radius of where I lived, I had over 50 vaccination sources around me.
Nice.
So, they're everywhere. And how we actually last weekend, we were giving out the Pfizer vaccines. Everything pops up every couple of weeks. New places pop up. So it's not only CVS, Walgreens, Publix, Walmart. There's other places that you can get it. So that actually helps you find it. If for some reason you can't find it, if you go to CDC and you click find vaccine, it actually takes you to that website. So it is approved by CDC too.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like the easiest way to find it. And it'll tell you if you want the Pfizer or if you want Moderna or even both. And then in there, like if it says CVS, it'll say in stock or out of stock. So you don't have to look for it, make an appointment for them to tell you there's no vaccines there. So it's very, very, very user-friendly, which I found amazing, honestly.
Nice. Thank you for that important information. Now, I find it crucial to help our community, and I developed a really deep passion for helping out our community regarding vaccinations. Now, I developed a passion to help out my community, knowing there are so many people out there who need enlightenment during these turbulent times. We have no idea when the pandemic will come to a conclusion. And of course, there are many people who are dealing with so much anxiety, depression, how and when can I get vaccinated, deaths in friends and family related to COVID. By taking note of these aspects, it gave me the passion to help those in my community and to try my best to alleviate the worries by providing as much care as possible. Now, if I could ask you, what would you say is your passion for the community?
Like I kind of said earlier, working in the ER, doing the clinicals and seeing the sick patients, it did make me more worrisome. I was very worried as my dad did get a COVID-19 for about 3 weeks, and we had a couple of scares with my sister's kids. So, seeing all that, my mom was in California working when the pandemic first hit, and she actually got very sick. So I was always very worrisome. And then, going to the ER and seeing that, it makes you really realize, even though everyone's getting sick, you see it right in your face. So I find it very important to get the COVID-19 vaccine. I understand wanting to wait and seeing, but I think it's just the same importance as the flu. And I feel like people aren't really comparing it, like I said, in the right way. I have a little bit of stats here. Since the COVID-19, over 20,000 people have passed away just in Florida. That's in about a year and a half now. The flu in 2019 killed 2,000 people, a little over 2,000 people. That is us having the lowest vaccination rate. We have a 40% vaccination rate, where almost every other state has over 50, and they have much less deaths. Even the states that have 52% didn't even surpass 1,000. They were like at 1,100 I was looking at. So it's showing that the vaccines are so important, and people aren't really understanding that you actually have to get vaccinated in order to start school. When you're in elementary school and when you go to middle school and even in high school, you need to do your physical and make sure every vaccine is finished so you can continue. And that's how we have not had polio in the U.S. since 1979. So that's like showing vaccines help. Yes, we're in the running of the testing, but the COVID-19 vaccine, the SARS, has been actually in the works for a really long time. As it says COVID-19, meaning it's not because it was 2019 when it came out. So they were working very hard, and that is how it was able to be pushed a little quicker to have the vaccine. We had a lot of information about the other coronavirus that happened before. So again, that's just something that people aren't being educated in, and it's very hard to find this information because you have to go deep and you have to know what you're reading and you have to understand it. So being in community health, being a nursing student, we read things and we hear things, and it sometimes goes in one ear and out the other. And I'm trying to, stop that, because I know that feeling. We'll be sitting and learning about something, and we have to go home anyways and go on YouTube and learn it more and more and more. So I get it. It's when I say that they're not being educated, I mean it in a way that we need to push to educate more, instead of seeing those harsh things on Twitter and Instagram about that they're not trying. They're trying, just people are limited to what they can get. And I feel community health is really important, and it's it's very needed, and it's us trying to give it to them in the easiest, most like person way possible, because when we go to the doctor and they start saying a bunch of different things, and it's hard words, and it's books words that you find in the books, they're not going to understand. So we have to say, okay, you have the common cold. That's it. You just have to say like that. You have COVID-19, because it makes it easier for them to understand. And I feel like the more they're educated in that way, that it's easier to understand and it's less scary. The more information, the less scary it is. So I feel like that's better. And that's what community health nursing is, to educate the community. And I think it's very needed, honestly, because information needs to be really spread out, honestly.
Wow, thank you so much for that great passion you just displayed. And we're all dealing with this pandemic, and we're all dealing with trials and obstacles. Your family, my family, all families across the globe. So the best thing we can do is pray that this thing hopefully just comes to an end sooner or later.
Yeah, we have to work together for that.
Absolutely.
Get vaccinated. Wear your mask.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, I think it's also important to talk about the differences of the vaccines as well, as most people are not aware. We have 3 types of COVID vaccines, of course, that most people should know. We have the Pfizer, the Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson. Pfizer and Moderna both require 2 doses, while Johnson & Johnson only requires 1. Pfizer utilizes mRNA, or messenger RNA, to deliver a genetic code from the coronavirus in the cells of the body. Now, this gives the cells instructions to make copies of those spike proteins you typically see in pictures of the coronavirus. Those spikes infect your cells. They trigger your immune system to produce antibodies that will respond and defend you if you were actually infected with corona. Mm-hmm. Now, Johnson & Johnson, in the other case, doesn't utilize mRNA. Instead, what it does, which is pretty interesting, it uses adenovirus to hand out instructions for your immune system to fight it off. Now, adenovirus is pretty much common viruses that deliver cold-like symptoms like fever, coughs, or sore throat. Now, once your cells memorizes the adenovirus, they produce antibodies to protect against an actual coronavirus infection. So in essence, the CDC does not have a recommendation for one vaccine over another. However, if you are allergic to certain ingredients, we have to make sure that in those vaccines, before you take them, we want to make sure that we are preventing an allergic reaction. Mm-hmm. Now, if I may ask, which vaccine did you choose?
Of course. I actually, funny story, was in bed one day and I got a text message saying, hey, do you want to get vaccinated? Mm-hmm. From my friend. And I'm like, yes, of course. Mm-hmm. I've been trying to get vaccinated before that for like 3 or 4 months. And so once they said it, I didn't even ask for what vaccine was it. I was just like, yes, where do I have to meet you? Mm-hmm. Tomorrow at 10 a.m. I'm like, perfect. When I was there and sending the paperwork, I saw I'm getting Pfizer.
Nice.
So the first dose, I was sore for about like 2 days, It wasn't anything bad. It was like if I worked out. That's how I am comparing it when I was giving the vaccines and people would ask me. That's how I compared mine to them. I'm like, oh, you just like if you worked out. I did also have like a little bit of a lingering headache, but it was nothing too like, out of the ordinary. That was all, it's all there. Mm-hmm. Then 21 days later, I got my second dose. The second dose is known to be a little bit stronger since your body is fighting more. So I did get the body aches. I did get a little bit of chills. Luckily, no fever. My arm wasn't in pain the next day, and I was a little fatigued from the body aches. Mm-hmm. But again, I knew all that was happening, so I made sure to stay very hydrated, drinking lots and lots of water. That was key, and taking Tylenol. Mm-hmm. So it was just the first night after the second vaccine that I didn't feel that well, and then the day of, I was fatigued from the pain. But then I was fine. My arm didn't even hurt. And yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that was that. Actually, most of my family got Pfizer. Luckily, like we all got it from different places, but we all coincidentally got Pfizer. And same, my mom didn't really have anything horrible. She had about the same. My brother, he just did his first dose about a week ago.
Mm-hmm.
And he told me not even the pain in his arm. So, I mean, as everyone's different, we know, like, what is expected. So that's, like, the same thing when we were doing the vaccines. I was like, okay, you might get a fever if it's higher than 101. That's when it's more dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
That's when it's not going down, but it's expected. Because people have to know that. You can't just be like, no, you're going to be fine, pinch them, tell them to leave.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, then you start feeling bad after that, and you get scared, especially with all the stuff, like, out there that you don't know what's in the vaccine, this and that. Like, it scares you. And so you have to, you know, that's why the entire time that we were doing it, I was like, I mean, you're going to be in a little bit of pain, you know, like the flu shot. I compared it to a lot to the flu shot because the first dose was like that to me.
Mm-hmm.
It was just the soreness of the arm. But that's what I got. But it was completely last minute the day before. I was able to get it. I was very happy to get it. And actually, while I was there, I saw not only, of course, the elderly, but I saw a lot of young people too. And I was happy to see that. I was happy to see people around our age are going and getting vaccinated. Some of them I saw had badges for like working in Miami-Dade County, like teachers and more nurses and doctors and techs. And I was happy to see that it's becoming so like easily available to everyone that you don't need to make an appointment and wait like 4 months anymore.
Right,
You
right.
still have to wait a little bit,
Absolutely.
but I was happy to see that it's getting easier to get. And like, you know, for me, like that was like literally the luck, but it's getting easier. And I'm so happy to see that. And I'm so happy to see that the teachers, once they were able to get it, I was like, oh, thank God, because they are working with children, and children, you know, get sick very often. And they might not be giving you COVID, but then you get sick, and then since your immune system is weak. So I was happy to see that, and hearing the stories that at first it was only 2 doctors and nurses, but then I saw techs getting it, and it made me happy to actually see that it's getting easier to get. And then once my friends were able to get it, I was super happy because they're not frontliners. So then I was like, you know, what if they want to get it? They want to be safe too. So that's amazing, honestly, to me.
Nice.
Did you get vaccinated?
Yes, I did. Now, in terms of the vaccines, I was not biased at all. I didn't care which one I got. I didn't care if it was Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson. I just wanted to get vaccinated. And I got the one that was available, closest to me, which was Johnson & Johnson. Now, for Johnson & Johnson, I like the fact that it is a one-dose vaccine, and I was able to quickly find a vaccination site that required no appointment. I actually got vaccinated on April 9th, and the very next day, I had chills. I felt nauseous, slight fever, and I could barely move my body. Now, of course, I worked out literally the day before I got vaccinated, so I'm pretty sure that didn't help either because my body was sore in addition to the side effects. But I had trouble getting out of bed, but the very next day I felt fine. You know, I was good to go. I didn't take any medication, but my body felt fine literally the very next day. So I was happy just for the fact that I got vaccinated, and I finally got that out of the way. And I encourage more and more people to get vaccinated as well. Now, to top everything off, is there any way we could probably reach a social media site you have in the works or what?
Yes. We have an Instagram. I changed the name to Post COVID-19 SFCN for South Florida College of Nursing. We do have some information there because prior to this, we were speaking about mental health help during the lockdown and during the main part of this pandemic when it first started. And now we are trying to, you know, change it up and be more resourceful about more than just than mental health, because the community needs a lot more. So I try to release as much information as I can. I am like, you know, upping it up a little bit. So it's like still in the works,
Right.
but I'm trying to make it very resourceful, very like enlightening to see, bright colors, very informational. I have the vaccinefinder.org actually posted on there. And just, little reminders every now and then to wear a mask,
Mm-hmm.
get vaccinated. And, you guys can always DM or direct message us if you have any questions, if you want to know more about anything. And as soon as I find the information, I will be willing to give it to you. I want to make sure that not only is it there for pretty,
Mm-hmm.
but it's also there to be very educational, because CDC does release a lot of information about the COVID-19 virus, but sometimes it's so intense reading it, hearing it on the news, seeing it this, and you only see statistics. So I'm trying to make it more like people friendly,
Right.
and I actually some of the stuff I have drawn and put there to make it like cute little things. I'm like, wear your mask, get vaccinated, because I want it to be welcoming, and I don't want anyone to be scared when they're trying to look for information. I want them to feel like they can go to us, and we're not going to be like, we're going to be very informational, but we're, giving it to them in a way the community needs to be given it to. We want to educate them the way that they need to be educated, and we want to, just spread it. We want to spread the information. I want to give it to you the way it needs to be. I want to teach it to you the way that it needs to be taught. And, again, like I said a little earlier, going through nursing school, you really understand sometimes not understanding something until you hear it 700 times, and there's just that one time that clicks. And I'm hoping that the information we find could really be that one information that makes you know what, I am going to get vaccinated.
Right.
You know what, I am going to keep my mask on. And, we think, yeah, it's very easy to keep your mask on, but sometimes I do find myself, if I'm talking, going, pulling it down, and I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing? No. So, it's little things like that it just becomes so, like, natural to us that I want it to be the other way around. I want it to be natural for us to keep the mask on, to know to get vaccinated, to know where to go to get the information, and feel like you can ask anything and not feel a certain way and feel down about what you're asking. So that's my main thing about our Instagram. Again, it's post COVID-19 SFCN for South Florida College of Nursing.
Got it.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, I think that just about ties everything down. Michelle, thank you so much for assisting me here today.
Of course.
And we just want to reassure everyone globally, we are all dealing with the anxiety of this pandemic. And we are in this fight together. You are not alone. We're all dealing with this tough fight, but we still have to be strong, courageous, and we just have to endure as much as we can. And with that being said, remember, we always have to practice safety guidelines, social distancing. So with that being said, we encourage everyone to stay safe, and we love you all very much.